Hello, everyone.
We
are
Don't Mess with the Mommas.
Mommas with our motto.
Is
You
are
the
protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny. And I can say that all in one breath now.
You are.
I'm Carla.
And I'm Arlaana. And welcome to our 48th episode.
Yes.
This one is called It's All Myoho. What the heck is Myoho? We have to read a little bit. It's part of course, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, what we chant every day. Just for you to hear it and hear what it means, okay? So I'm going to share some things, and then Carla's going to share some things about Myoho, which is really profound, simple and profound at the same time. Myoho means wonderful or mystic, and Ho means law, so it's the mystic law. It also means teaching or phenomena. Together, Myoho is translated as wonderful law or mystic law. Nichiren Daishonin, who first chanted Nam Myoho Renge Kyo for the happiness of all humankind, said Myo stands for enlightenment, while Ho represents darkness or ignorance. So together, Myoho expresses the idea that ignorance and the enlightened nature are a single entity. So you don't have to be anything special. You just have to be as you are with all the dark crud in your life. And we'll share a lot about that. You know, how we overcame dark crud, or how we overcame difficulties, and how we pulled from the environment that which we needed. Just a few more things before I turn it over to Carla, who has even more amazing things to share. It also means to be fully endowed, or to reveal the true nature of reality. So we think we know what reality is, like, oh, right now I'm living in my reality, and it may not be so great. That's not your reality. Your potential is your reality. And also, Myoho expresses both the enlightened nature of a Buddha, just a person as you are, and the deluded nature of an ordinary person, and the fact that they're essentially one. So we say, you know, you could be deluded, but once you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you go on the path of enlightenment. So it's inseparable. You don't have to change anything. But over to you, because I love what you came up with about Myoho.
That I wanted to just piggyback on that.
Sure.
You know, the about your once you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you are no longer a common mortal. You now have the ability to change your life, shape your life, and influence other people. You know, so you're not just a common mortal anyway. You're not, you know, just running between the six worlds.
Right.
You know. Okay, when they're 10. Okay. So what I have, the law is not separate from the person. Okay. It's the cluster of blessings. It's the wish granting jewel. This Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho will be whatever you need it to be. You know, Nichiren Daishonin gives an example of how it works. He says, think of Myoho as the wind, and think about the trees. What happens when that wind blows? It makes everything move. So when you start chanting Myoho, you know, you're really taking control of your life. You're not a victim of your destiny. You can change whatever it is. And like I said, Myoho will be whatever you need. If you need money, if you need warmth, if you need compassion, whatever you need, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo will give it to you. The other things that it means is that you're not, once you start chanting, you're not looking for something outside yourself, because everything is within yourself. So that's another nice aspect, and you don't have to wait for anybody to change. It's all up to you. Your life is in your own hands. And there's no distinction between you and the Buddha. The minute you chant Myoho Renge Kyo, the mouth becomes the Buddha, the mind becomes the Buddha, the hand that picks it up becomes the Buddha. So I want to give that.
I love it. Okay. And now we're going to share, because there are 3 types of proof, right? And once again, Absolutely. You never have to chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. We're just telling you about what we do and the meaning, because we're going to share some amazing experiences that we've had, just to make you aware of what's out there and what's in here. So it's three types of proof in order for a religion to be valid.
Yeah, right.
There's documentary, theoretical, and the most important, actual proof. We're
That's right.
spending time talking about actual proof today. So documentary writings, and all the writings that we read are the letters that Nichiren Daishonin actually wrote in the worst possible conditions. Oh my gosh, he was exiled to Sado. He went against the entire government. He lived in this tiny hut, and he wrote the most profound encouragement to all his disciples at that time, followers, not that he was a god or anything like that, but just how to encourage people's lives. And we read the same letters. They're still, even though he wrote them in the 13th century, they're just as relevant today. Absolutely. So, which is really very cool.
Yeah.
And actually, I have to share that one of our trips, I went to Japan, and there was like a ceremony where they unrolled the scrolls that Nichiren wrote, and oh my gosh, was that powerful. And here in the worst conditions, I mean, you couldn't get worse, the conditions couldn't be worse, but he wrote the most beautiful, encouraging letters. So documentary proof.
And poetic too.
Oh my gosh, poetic. Talk about poetic. Wow. So documentary. And the theoretical, does it conform with science? And we're finding that science, the astronomers and everybody is revealing and realizing there are so many worlds out there. So we've been talking about that all along.
Yeah.
So does it conform with reality? Does it make sense? Is it something, do you have to take a big leap of faith or no leap of faith at all? So, but the most important, and the reason that people do this practice, is actual proof. It's revealed in your life. What you chant for, you either get what you chant for, you get what you really need in your life. Like, I shouldn't use this example, but, when some famous musician whose name will go unsaid, he started chanting for better cocaine, right? and he got it. But then all of a sudden he was playing and he looked around and he said, what's going on? I feel the opposite of what I used to feel, So his life naturally realized that's not good for me. So nobody's going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do chant for. But so to share some, should I start with? Okay. So one great experience, I first, started practicing, and I wanted a job in the recording industry in New York City. That was a joke because I had no experience whatsoever, right? And the competition was fierce. But I chanted for it anyway. So I started chanting, and this guy interviewed me, but he also interviewed he interviewed 50 people for the job, and he hired 2 people who had lots of experience. And I was so discouraged, and I called, we have an organization where we encourage one another. So I called somebody who's been practicing a long time, and I said, I chanted for this, but it didn't work. And they said, keep chanting, keep chanting. So what happened, this is so interesting, the guy took so long to make up his mind about, so he hired these 2 people, and they said, oh, sorry, it's too late. I already got another job. So he said, listen, I'm in desperate need of somebody. Can I hire you temporarily? So he hired me as a temp, right? He hired the recording producer, and she decided after 2 months to quit. So he was desperate. Guess what? Here I was without any experience whatsoever and recording record, being a record producer, which was just so fun, And I had that job for a while, which was, it wasn't the mission that I was supposed to have. So I went on to many other different kinds of jobs at the UN, at Columbia University. But anyway, that was really an amazing actual proof.
Well, when I started, I was really, didn't have money, didn't have clothes to look for a job, just a mess. And so they told me, well, you can chant for whatever you want. So I wanted to get a job, keep the boyfriend I had. And, but I didn't have money, and I was without food. And I said, I'm going to try this. I said, now, listen, I either have to have money or I got to have food. All right? One way or the other, I got to have something. And I'm walking across 14th Street, New York. What's that place called? The Square.
Oh, Union Square.
Union Square. Okay. And it's the end of the day and the farmer's market is closing up. And this lady comes out of nowhere and says, would you like some tomatoes and squash? And I was like, yeah, okay, free. No, didn't have to pay nothing. Nobody ever gave me nothing for free, okay? And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, is this my benefit? Is this how this works? And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. So, and then things just got better and better. The other thing that happened was I was able to get a job working in a hospital that I had worked in before. And I never got along with these people, never got along with them. And I was saying, oh my goodness, what's going to happen if they recognize who I am? What's going to happen, But nobody said anything. But my life condition was so different. Okay, it was so different. And I had a run-in with one of the supervisors that I had a run-in before, okay, when I first worked there. So this is a repeat performance, okay? And so I was taking initiative. We're supposed to create value where we work. So I took the initiative to create the value that would help the nursing staff, okay? And she got upset because she found things in her mailbox that, what is this? And she's ranting and raving and carrying on. And I stood there very quietly because my old self would have been just going off on her. And I stood there very silently. I watched her do the yelling and the screaming, and everybody was watching her yell and scream. Then she realized she was the only one who was yelling and screaming, and she calmed down, and I never had a problem out that lady again.
I love it.
So,
great relationship change, right?
Right, okay. And then the other thing is, like, when I first started, I didn't care about anybody's happiness. I don't want to hear about helping anybody. I just want to solve my own problems. That's it. But as time passed, and I started to see how valuable this Nam-myoho Renge Kyo was, my heart started to open up, and I realized I have to share this because so many people are suffering. Just give it to them. It's like you're carrying heavy load on your back, and you don't have to carry that heavy load. Right. You can lighten it up. So
I love it. I love it. And I love listening to you all the time. Zoe is back again. She's been doing this all morning. She's very needy. Anyway, so I'll share a few experiences as well. So I always had this dream when I was little, and we were raised poor. I didn't have any money at all, and my parents didn't have, education really. But I always wanted to go to Columbia University. That was like the big dream. So I ended up getting a job at Columbia University. In fact, I didn't even know at the time that I was working on the ARPANET, like with the director of the computer center. That was the precursor to the internet. So there I was with other people creating the internet. It was very bizarre. Anyway, so I worked at Columbia University for a number of years, and then I wanted to go to graduate school there. And the secretary of the political science department had the nerve to laugh at me and say, there is no way you'll get in. And she made me feel so bad. Now, in the past, I would have been destroyed. I would have given up, because that's my tendency. When the going gets rough, I get going, right? But I said, no, I have to really show this actual proof. I have to overcome whatever it is, So I chanted and chanted and chanted. So in order to get in, I had to take 2 courses in military technology. Now, if you know me, military technology, it was like 2 worlds colliding, because I couldn't stand learning about this stuff. It was horrible. But somehow I was able to get B+ in both, and I was accepted, So when I walked into the political science department for the first time, and she looked at me, she said, what are you doing here? Yeah. I said, oh, yes, I got accepted, right? Then, in order to get I was doing a dual master's, I had to pass a French exam. I had to translate a very difficult political passage from French to English. I never took French. So I had to do what's called a rapid reading. For 4 months, I took a course. I failed the first time. I only had one more chance. So I chanted and chanted and chanted. And somehow, I don't even know to this day, because I don't know anything about French, right? I was able to pass that difficult language exam and get a dual master's, right? Another experience, and then we'll talk a little bit about inconspicuous benefit, because these are all conspicuous, what you can see, right?
Right.
And the inconspicuous is what's really cool. But okay, sharing a couple of more conspicuous. So my husband and I, who's there doing this filming, Chuck, we wanted a house. We wanted to build a house, and we had no money whatsoever. But we found this beautiful plot of land with a gorgeous tree. We fell in love with the tree. And so we needed $5,000 for the down payment, but we didn't have $5,000 at the time. The realtor loaned us the money, which is like unheard of. So when we closed on the property, the woman said, the realtor person said, I've never closed a deal with people putting no money down whatsoever, right?
Right.
And then to build the house, the house had to appraise, the construction of the house had to appraise for 120% of the construction loan, because we didn't have money for the construction loan. To the dollar, it appraised to 120%. Then we built this beautiful home, and Chuck did a lot of his own work, even though we were paying the contractor. We were on our hands and knees in the middle of dead winter, laying down these beautiful floors and stuff so we could save money. Because that's what we wanted, right? So the house would appraise for more money. But because Chuck had a not such a good credit rating because of his past, marriage, whatever, we didn't think we'd be able to get the mortgage, and we said, oh my gosh, we've got this beautiful home, and now we won't even be able to live in it. So it so happened that where we were living at the time, the people across the street, the guy was a banker, and his girlfriend had these dogs, and we used to play with her dogs all the time. So she convinced him to give us the mortgage. So there we were with a beautiful home without any money for the down payment or anything, And the one other, well, this is I'll skip one of them, but we had a beautiful, wonderful restaurant, our second restaurant, and but it was during the housing crisis and everything, so we lost everything. We had to lose everything, and that was devastating. But when we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we're so protected, so protected. So even though we lost everything, it was right after Chuck's dad passed away, and his mom had this beautiful home that she, was going to live in all by herself. And she said, "Come live, with me in my home," right? And that was so perfect because we didn't have to pay any rent. We were living in this gorgeous home. So we lost our home where we were living, and we ended up living in a home that was worth twice as much.
And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful home.
Right on the water.
Beautiful.
And then our son, at the time, because we were changing school districts, he was able to apply to the top academic school in the country and able to get in. So it became such an amazing benefit, and our life was able to build up from there. And we were able to sell that house and buy a new home, paying cash, have lots of money left over, changed our fortune completely, But the most important actually is the human revolution, the changes we have inside, because it's not magic. It's because we manifest change from the inside. What we call the inconspicuous benefit is the best benefit.
Yeah.
So you want to share something about
some
inconspicuous?
Inconspicuous benefits. I think my life has always been like inconspicuously. You look back and you see the situations you've come through, and I think that I have so much. It's hard to say pick exactly one.
Well, I'm going to share because I know Carla for a few years now. Yeah. And it so happens we're 2 weeks apart. I won't tell you who's older. But when I met Carla, she would be very, very up there, but then go into really deep depression.
I'm glad you brought that up. I almost forgot I suffered from that.
Because today you would never know it.
No. I mean, I would have depression to the point where I would be in the bed with a blanket of sheet pulled over my head. I could not move. I become sort of catatonic. And when you're like that, you can't take care of any of your things that you're supposed to take care of in your life. And what could end up happening is you could become homeless. So as I started to chant, that started to lift. And gradually, if I get depressed now, it's not like I want to pull the covers over my head, and amazingly, President Cater's writings have helped me tremendously. And I remember one time I was really struggling very hard. And I was getting to be like that kind of depressed. And I remembered something he said. He said, if you're unhappy, create your own happiness. And I took that and I said, well, what makes me happy? Taking photographs. And it was the coldest day of the year. I mean, cold. And I decided that I was going to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge and take pictures the whole time I was going and the whole time I was coming back. And when I got back in the house, my whole frame of mind changed. And then I was able to tackle what was at the issue, which was financial. I was able to tackle that. Same thing with getting the house. I didn't think I could afford a house, and I needed to have credit, and I didn't have credit. All right. I had just paid off a whole lot of credit card bills and probably had a wrecked history. And for whatever reason, my bank decided that they were going to send me a credit card. And I said, oh, okay. But I needed to establish credit and so I could buy the house. $1,000 credit, that's good enough, nothing fancy. And I was able to build that history. So when it came to time to buy the house, I was able to do it because I had this underneath my belt. Same thing with the house. I started out with one real estate agent, didn't work. And then finally got another real estate agent and it just clicked. And then I'm thinking I'm looking for something that's a used house, found a new house. So, I mean, I've been protected, going through a whole lot of different things.
I love it. I love it. And one day she'll actually invite us to her home and cook her wonderful fried chicken, which I can't eat because I'm allergic to everything in the world.
All right. Oh, I'll have to lettuce for you, my dear.
Lots of lettuce.
Lettuce.
I'll be a rabbit.
Yeah.
So, and just before we close with encouraging words, as far as my own human revolution is, I went for most cheerful in high school, but inside, because I grew up with so much mental illness in my family, I was really deeply depressed. And when I first started chanting, the first thing I wanted to do was leave the country. I figured if I could run away from my karma, if I could leave the country, I could run away from my own karma, and that doesn't work, right? You got to take where you take you with you. So I had to learn that pretty quickly. But now, I have so much appreciation for life, so much appreciation for my family, my friends, everything, just life itself. And I feel like a billionaire. And I know our international president, Dasaku Keita, said, you may not have $1 billion, but you could be a billionaire in human happiness. And that's more valuable because you take that with you till the next life, the next life, the next life. And this lifetime, all that money in the world, okay, fine, nice, but I'd much more appreciate my life and just have so much joy, the fact that I'm alive and being able to create value with my life and encourage others. That's the most precious of all,
Heartfelt, that you can actually feel your heart be happy.
Absolutely.
That you can have appreciation for, how far you've come. And then, sometimes counting all the things that you've been able to accomplish,
right?
Makes you feel good.
Oh, and I have to just share Zoe's benefit, right? Now, how can an animal have a benefit? Well, Zoe was born with yes. Yeah, I'm talking about you, and you're messing with my microphone. Zoe was born with such a rare skin condition, and we paid buku bucks for her. and they didn't tell us. But the doctor of 30 years said he had never seen anything like that before. And they thought she had cancer and she was just going to die. But she's has to live on prednisone every other day. But she had pustules all over her body, the poor little girl, because she's so smart. She's so adorable. And then our son had her have brachiocephalic surgery to widen her nostrils so she could breathe better. And right after they finished the surgery, she coded. She stopped breathing for 5 minutes. So needless to say, we chanted all night for her, right? And her body blew up with air and everything. And as you could see, she's totally fine. She was supposed to be in intensive care for like 3 days. She was able to be in intensive care only 1 day, and she came back fully, and she's just amazing. So even animals can get benefit.
Inconspicuous benefit. She didn't have to pay 2 days extra of medical care.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, because originally our son was going to pay for the whole thing, and then we had to kick in. But she's worth it. By the way, shout out to, because we're Mommas Podcast, mommas.podcast@gmail.com.
Right.
So Savannah of Myrtle Beach she loved the poetic spirit because she herself is a poet, and she loved the idea that anybody can be a poet, to just appreciate life, just living your life to the fullest. And do you have a shout out?
And Ginger from North Carolina said, we are a refreshing breath of air for the mind. Just she loves what we talk about and how we present it, and she's very happy to have found us.
Yeah, and we're happy to have found her.
Oh,
Everybody.
definitely.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so encouraging words, right? I wish that dogs could talk, because I would have her read this book. It's amazing that they don't, because they say everything with their, their eyes and their barks, right? Okay, we must live with vibrant hope. Nothing is stronger than hope. The mystic law is itself eternal hope. Happiness belongs to those who never despair, no matter what happens. And with that,
I guess we'll say who we are again.
Yeah, we are. Don't mess with the Mommas, MOMMAS, with our motto. You are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny. You could listen to us on all platforms, see us on all platforms. We love you. We love to hear from you. Take care of your precious selves. You are precious. And whatever condition you're in, please realize everything changes, whether things are great, whether things are sucky, it doesn't matter. Everything changes, and you were born in this lifetime with a precious mission. You are unique. Only you can fulfill your mission. So bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.